members. My compadre over here is Sal Minervini, and Brian, where are you at? There you are. We're part of Waldwick United. We're a township civic group, not official because we don't want to get sued. So we definitely want to be, as you guys have, if you're there and you see Waldwick United, what we try to do is do a lot of things like this. Try to have everyone get more engaged in the town, the things that we do. Around, what's happening with our ordinances, what's happening with our kids, anything and everything that happens inside Waldwick. So we're really solely focused just on Waldwick. I want to thank the American Legion, Joe Verga, and there's several members here throughout the seating arrangements here. We should definitely give them a hand of applause for one, their service. And also for giving us the opportunity to do this for the community. I want to make a very quick disclaimer, and this is a very strong disclaimer. This is not a partisan event. I wore a purple tie today for a reason, because people get all their emotions in a bunch if I wear a red or a blue one for some reason. So, all jokes aside, because sometimes this stuff can get funny. I want to also thank the members of the Board of Education who are here. We have Councilman Shalara here, and we have several people who are actually part of the government of Waldwick who are here to also participate in this event as a meet and greet. After we do the Q&A session, you will have a chance to actually meet and talk to them. I think, Don, you have a name tag on yourself. If you haven't met Don, he's been serving the community for a very long time. We have other people here who will, if you guys want, can you just stand up so everyone knows who you are? Everybody who's actually on the board or a councilman, right now. Deb, there you are. Mr. Schatz, okay? And I'm sure more will be coming. I know that one of the Board of Ed members said that she's going to be flying back, hopefully not getting into trouble. We have a legend who just walked through. I call you a legend, mister. So we have some people are coming in a little late, but they'll be here for that session, okay? So please take an opportunity to meet with them, talk to them, ask them questions, and get to know who they are. Because specifically this election, we didn't have too many challengers. We didn't have any challengers on the Democratic side to challenge the incumbents. We only have one. We have Laura Mitchell here, who is, thank you for coming, and who is challenging the mayor here for the seat as Waldwick's mayor. As mentioned in my videos and posts, this event is for Waldwick residents only. Obviously, if you're voting for the mayor, you can't be from Westwood and come here and vote. So we're going to ask you, my friend Sal and Brian are going to ask you, when you stand up and ask a question, identify where you live. Just don't have to give me the actual street address. Just give me the street. If you want to say, I've been here 25 years, because that's the first thing I hear from almost everyone in Waldwick. I was born and raised. First, I don't know of a hospital in Waldwick right now. Okay? But everyone has so much pride about Waldwick that they always tell me, oh, I've been here 25 years and I love it. That's what makes Waldwick special. We love this town. And that's why we do this. We have placed the rules for the event. We handed those out and we ran out. I guess my kids used up all of my paper in my printer, so I ran out of these. So just ask the buddy if you don't have them of how this is going to run. We will focus on trying to keep everything equitable and fair for everybody. Okay? So without further ado, let's just stand, face the flag, and pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So this starts the first part of the moderated part, a Q&A session. I'd like to thank Mayor Giordano for coming, as well as Laura Mitchell. And the first question I'm going to ask both of you is just the warm-up questions, basically. And then after that, I'll hand it over to you guys in the audience. Please introduce yourselves. We'll start with Mr. Giordano. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Number two, tell us a little bit why you're running for mayor, or ask the incumbent why you're running for the election. And then the third question, what are the most important challenges facing Waldwick right now, and how do you propose to address those? So we'll start with you.
First of all, my name is Tom Giordano. I've been a 30-year resident of Waldwick. I moved here from the Bronx. I married a Waldwick girl who is a 58-year resident here. I have two children. My son is TJ Giordano, who lives now in Richmond, Virginia, who is probably moving back to Waldwick in a couple of months. I also have a daughter who is, she lives in Ridgewood. We gave her an opportunity to branch away, and she said she wants to go to Ridgewood. We said, go right ahead, and that's where she's living. My son is a West Point graduate. He served in Afghanistan for 9 months. He was 5 years in the military. He left the military as captain. We have a big, strong history of being involved in the community here in Waldwick. My wife Marion and myself, we give back a lot to the community, just like Laura and her family do. We see an opportunity to help others in Waldwick, and that's what we're doing. My wife is the president of the Ladies Auxiliary of the Fire Department. I've been in the Waldwick Fire Department for 25 years next year, 24 years as their president. I was just nominated once again this year to serve for next year. I'm involved in some other organizations in the community also. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus. I'm a second-degree knight. I'm a member of the Italian Club. I used to be a member of the Lions Club, but due to other reasons, I had to leave the Lions Club. I also was a member, before I became a councilman, on the board of directors of West Bergen Mental Health. And also I served in West Point as a trustee and a vice president of their Parents Club of New York and New Jersey. For the last 8 years as mayor, I tried to be a mayor in which I listened to all the needs of the public and the needs of the people. When I became mayor 8 years ago, what I did was I established a mission statement that I kept in my office until I needed the picture frame to put something else in it. And the saying was, I will listen, I will learn, I will help, and I will lead. And I think I've done that in the last 8 years. I've been listening to all the residents. I learned from them. Sometimes the residents did not like what maybe they heard from myself and the council, but I've helped every resident that came to the office. I used to have days in which I was in the office once a week for chat with the mayor. Now I'm in the office maybe every other day, early in the morning, late in the afternoon, if anyone has any concerns that they need to talk to me about. Waldwick is a very solid community. Waldwick is a community based on families and based on traditions and based on pride. And I would like to continue that. There's a lot of things that still have to be done in Waldwick. I've accomplished a lot in the last 8 years, not just by myself, but with the help of the past council and the present council. And I think that Waldwick could move forward a little bit more stronger. I think the first thing that we have to do is to stop attacking the council at council meetings. It's very disrespectful when we sit up there and we try to work things out, and we get people that just jump up, they yell and scream and curse at us. We're not the enemy. We have to work together. And I think that's the first thing that has to be done in the new year. Establish a more better friendship within the council and the residents. We don't know what went wrong. I mean, this has been in the last year or two, and we're trying to bring it back to you respect us, we respect you. Problems are not going to be answered or settled overnight. It takes a while. It takes time to do it. And together, the residents and the governing body have to work together for this reason. I have other goals of which I would like to talk about later on for 2020. But right now, all I ask of everybody is to just think about where you want Waldwick to go. Think about where Waldwick went, and think about what the future will hold for us. We have a very great past, and now we have a great future. Now, we're in our 100th anniversary here, and I think a lot of people in this community forgot about that. They were more worried about other stuff than worrying about our 100th anniversary. You know, you don't get to be 100 years old and strong and powerful just overnight. You work at it, hard working people, past mayors, past councilmen. We have a lot here in the audience. They all have done their job, create an environment that we all can be proud of. So as a group, you know, it's not just the mayor and council running this town, it's everybody running this town. And we have to work together. We got to put away our nonsense and our attitudes and just do the right thing for the people that are electing you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Laura, same questions, I'll just repeat them for your benefit. You know, introduce yourself, who you are, a little bit about your history. Let us know why you're running for mayor, and also what you believe are the most important challenges facing Waldwick, and how you aim to address those.
Thank you. Thank you to the Waldwick United for putting this together, as well as the American Legion for hosting us. My name is Laura Litchell. My family has been in this town for almost 100 years. I was born and raised here, and this is also the town I chose to raise my children. My daughter Jessica, my son Paul, and my daughter Alyssa all live in Waldwick presently. I'm the daughter of Russell Buddy Litchell, who used to be a police officer, served on the council, the Board of Education, and was a former mayor. My father dedicated most of his time to this community, and he inspired me to do the same. I served as municipal chair for the Democratic Committee. I was on the Board of Health. I was the president of Northwest Bergen Regional Health Commission, a member of the Booster Club. I served on multiple rec ball committees, and I was the cheerleading coordinator for Waldwick Rec Football. My children, my partner, and I, Jeff, are all Waldwick High School graduates. I have a BA in psychology, and I have an MBA in information technology management. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I'm also a Reiki master and a parishioner at St. Luke's Church. I have 20 years of corporate experience and 10 years of small business experience. Most importantly, I have expertise in reviving failing businesses. I helped transform the Northwest Bergen Regional Health Commission to the thriving entity that it is today. In 2009, I bought my first business. I owned 2 daycares in Emerson. The business that I purchased in 2009 was failing, and through automation, streamlining, listening to my customers, and technology, I was able to turn that failing business around. I was blessed enough in 2015 to purchase my second daycare, which was also failing, and I was able to triple my enrollment in that daycare center in 3 short years, listening to the customers, finding out what's important to them, and implementing programs through fiscal responsibility to the thriving entities they are today. I'm a member of the Emerson Chamber of Commerce. I serve on the executive board. We work very closely with the administration in Emerson to bring the business community and the administration to have a closer working relationship and offer more programs to the citizens of Emerson. I also volunteer my time as a yoga instructor to the Girl Scouts and to Bergen New Bridge Medical Center. I am also on various causes and committees throughout town. I'm running for mayor of Waldwick because I want to give back to the community that has done so much for me. I'm willing to work as hard as I need to in order to get the job done. I feel you deserve an elected official who can create a unified town, attract businesses, and include all residents in their programs. One of the goals that I would like to do is to speak in the near future about the possibility of a shared service with the rec director. I feel that there are some safety concerns that people have approached me about that I would like to address. So I'll speak on that throughout all the questions. I would also like to streamline expenses, create channels of transparent and open communication, and enhance some of the existing technologies that we have that can further our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now thank you both. I think we're blessed to have 2 high-quality people running for mayor in this town, so we're grateful to both of you. I just want to go over the rules. You have those really quickly for the Q&A session. Okay, so the mayoral I can't say that word. The mayoral candidates will be the only ones allowed to answer questions from the public during the Q&A session. If you're a buddy of Laura, if you're a buddy of the mayor, you can't jump up, oh yeah, and then we did this. This is about them at this point, going forward. Each mayoral candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question being asked. People in the audience, you have up to 2 questions you can ask. So if you come up and you say, the swing sets at the park, they weren't fixed, why not? Well, because we had and what about this? You can do that. However, you don't have to. If you just have 1 question, that's fine. You have a 2-minute limit, we go from there. The other candidate, if your question is addressed to Laura or to Mr. Giordano, you can then also address that same question, right? So if Laura answers the question and Tom decides he wants to also opine on that, he'll also get an opportunity. Same rule, 2 minutes. Okay? After that, obviously, thank you all. No campaign materials were given. I didn't get a new T-shirt today. And obviously, we're all adults. Let's treat our candidates with respect. Try not to talk over someone. No shouting from the audience. I don't believe you're going to raise my taxes. None of that. Let's just keep it PC as much as we can. Emotions get high, and when it comes to politics, it's one of the worst things about politics that I hate is how people just get so emotionally entwined with the color red and the color blue. And at the end of the day, we all believe the same color, right? So that's really what's important. It's what's important is our town, not a party here, and who can best serve our town going forward. So I appreciate you guys following all the rules. Anybody have any questions about that before we go forward? Nope. Great. Let's get started. All right. So first question, who wants to go? Sal, I'm gonna go. My bouncer here, Sal, who's feeling really well this morning. Anybody have a question?
I have a question.
Okay. Good job. Please project your voice. We can hear you.
Hi, my name is Denise Maricola. I'm a lifelong Waldwick resident running for third town of Freeholder. My question for both candidates is municipal chair, the municipal council and mayor kept the municipal taxes flat for the last 8 years. So if you're elected mayor, will you try to keep the municipal taxes flat?
Okay. Who would like to answer that question first?
Yes, of course I would like to keep the taxes flat. Currently, we have a 5-time surplus, and I do believe that with all of the expenditures that we have in town and all the ratables that we have in town and the increase of ratables in town and the simple programs that I'm looking to implement, it really doesn't change the tax rate much. So I do believe in fiscal responsibility. I believe in balancing. I believe in balancing a budget. I am familiar with how to balance a budget, and I would like to look for opportunities on how to streamline some costs to possibly shave some of the spending in town to keep the budget flat. I am a taxpayer in this town as well. I know how painfully obvious it is to all of us how the taxes in town, most of the taxes being the Board of Education. I know the municipal tax is small, but I would like to partner with the Board of Education to see if there's any opportunities for a shared service between the municipality and the Board of Education to possibly help reduce that tax rate as well.
Well, as you know, for the last 8 years, we've kept a flat tax rate for the residents of the borough. 31% of your taxes go to the Board of Education. About 19% comes to the borough. What we do is we are the ones that collect the taxes for the Board of Ed. We do have a very big reserve fund, like Laura said. And the reason why we have this reserve fund is because it's almost like a savings account. If something goes wrong in your home, you have to have money to back it up. Now, there are times in which we don't get our taxes in, and the Board of Ed is owed a $3-4 million bill for a tax. We have to give it to them. So what we have to do is we take the money out of our reserve, we give it to the Board of Ed if that's what we have to do, and then what we do is we turn around and we get the money back. That way, you don't have to worry about going out and taking out a loan. Also, even though we do have a lot of money, that helps us to stabilize our tax rate. It also allows us to bridge the gap when we have obligations that exceed our available cash, which is the case in point of the Board of Ed. Also, it gives us a better credit rating, which means that lower interest rates when we do have to borrow money. And also, last week, it was announced at our last council meeting that the Finance Committee did meet, and they'll be reporting back to the Mayor and Council Tuesday night, that they are looking into the money that we have. They're looking into how we could maybe take some of that away and use it for other options. Some of the things that I was looking at to do is, if the council decides that they would like to go forward and take some of that money, I think the biggest thing, it's very important to the residents, is that we have to work on the road repairs. Every year we're allocating $250,000 for roads. We have to work with the county, get some money from the county, and then offset it by fixing up all the roads. We have to also update our playgrounds. We have to also look into White's Pond. That's a very important thing, and it means that's history here in Waldwick. On a smaller scale,
Go ahead, finish that part.
on a smaller scale, I would like to look into new technologies for our website. Also, become more involved in the mailing of the spring and fall update, which we stopped doing. I'd like to do that again. But in regards to the Board of Ed, I'll be really quick. And Board of Ed, we've been helping the Board of Ed many years with what they have to do. We pick up their garbage, we don't charge them. We pick up their recycling, we don't charge them. What we do is we allow them to fuel their fuel at our town. We give them a bill for
We
it.
want to give it equal time, so if you want to address that afterwards.
I'll address it later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get back to you on this third call.
Yeah, thank you. Please state your name and...
Kevin Magnus on Grand Avenue.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, you were saying things that you're really doing to help the Board of Ed and to share services with the Board of Ed. Can you please elaborate for everybody on the additional things that you do to try to keep the Board of Ed attached as well?
Well, what we're doing, as I said before, is that we allow the Board of Ed to use our fuel stations. By doing that, they don't have to worry about paying for a fuel station. We just give them the bill for it. What we do is we pick up their garbage and we pick up their recycling. They don't have to pay for that. They don't have to have a private car to do that. What we do is we maintain some of their fields for them. We do striping of their fields. Not only do we do that with the Board of Ed, is now we have cameras for the protection of our children in the schools. When the cameras came in, when the wiring came into the town hall or into the police department, it stopped in the street. We paid the money to have it brought in. We paid for the cameras that are inside the police station. That's the way in which you could work with the Board of Ed. The other day we met with the two members of the Board of Ed, the administrator, our police department, our administrator. And what we did was we talked about shared services, not only shared services, we talked about a rec direct, we talked about background checks. We're still meeting. We have two different opinions on how things should move forward. But as I said before, you get more when you're nice to each other instead of storming out of a meeting. So what happened is we will meet again, and we will discuss a little bit more how we could work with the Board of Ed to help you with your tax dollars.
Laura, would you like to address that as well?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Well, the mayor, I asked the mayor about what he's planning to do to try to help the Board of Ed keep their taxes flat and stop spending what they're spending. And you were saying you want to share services with the Board of Ed. What do you think you can bring the Board of Ed to bring their taxes down?
So I feel that one of the biggest challenges that the Board of Education has right now is the field space and the requirement for a rec director. They're in the process right now of outside bidding for implementing policy and procedures for background checks, and they're looking to partner with the police department to have them maintain or vet the coaches who coach our children. Currently, there's not a requirement for people to be fully vetted and background checked in some of the sports. And in some of the sports, they will go to the Midland Park chief because there's a shared team between Midland Park and Waldwick. And I feel that rather than the Board of Education financing or funding an outside company, maybe there's a way that we can leverage within Waldwick to reduce that expense and perform the shared services with the Waldwick Police Department.
So right now, all.
Yeah, you get one more.
So I understand that that's all things that the mayor already said that they're already doing. What are the actual things that you think that you can implement that the mayor's not thinking?
Well, that actually is, the rec director is the one thing that I have, that's one of my platform issues that I have been running on since for about two or 3 months now.
Because he already said that he's doing that. That's what-
Okay, that's great.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any other questions from the audience?
I'm sorry, I came in late. Is there a form here for the questions?
Yes, here's your,
It's just the rules.
just rules. There's a gentleman over here.
My name is Jim Stanton, Waldwick Avenue. I want to thank you both for coming here and, speaking with us. My question, since we've been talking about finance, is for Mayor Giordano. In regards to the purchase of the fire truck, the new fire truck, it's my understanding that we issued muni bonds in order to finance that purchase. But I also understand at the time there was grant money available from the state, how they applied for it. And I was just curious as to why we want one versus the other.
Well, we never apply, whenever we buy a fire truck, we bid the money out, we go out and we buy the truck. Unfortunately, the truck that we have is an old truck that has to be replaced. We never go out to bid on anything like that. What we do is, how it works is that the fire department comes to the mayor and council and tells us that they need a fire truck. Once they tell us they need a fire truck, we ask them, what do you want to spend on it? Or how much do you think it's going to be? We go back and forth with them, and then what happens is they turn around and they will tell us how much they want to spend, and they spend it. And what we do is, this year they're getting a fire truck. It's going to be built starting in December. Probably in 2 years they're going to need another fire truck. Unfortunately, fire trucks are, the company that deals with the fire truck, which is American of France, the one where our trucks are from, are not a business. And what's happening is you can't get parts for your vehicle, or for your truck. So they're looking now into getting a new fire truck. But once again, they come to us and they ask us if it's the right time of the year or the right time to do it. And we've always worked with them about it. We never, ever question them about the money they're going to spend, because it's for the safety of the residents. And that's very important. We have to worry about the safety. You can't have a fire truck that can't respond to a fire.
Of course.
Okay. Do you have a follow-up question?
No, thank you for...
Laura, would you like to
Yes.
opine on that?
Yes, it's my understanding, in speaking to Josh Gottenheimer, that there was a grant available for the fire truck. Not to completely finance it, but to alleviate some of the costs. My concern is, if we're bonding this and there is a grant available, we are responsible for the interest, which is implication to our taxpayers. So had we investigated the grant, maybe it would have reduced some of that interest, and we could have taken that money and put it towards another much-needed program.
What strings are attached to getting money from the state?
You stand up and state your name and you live in
Paul
Waldwick?
Santos, Waldwick. By you taking the money, is there any strings attached? Anything that could possibly happen to the town, taking that money, are you obligated to the state for anything when you do that?
I do not believe so, but I can investigate and get back to you.
Yes,
Based upon our
please.
conversation, based upon the conversation that I had with Congressman Gottheimer, he said it's criminal not to take grant money when it's available,
Well,
especially for
that depends, because we have a situation in town where we took grant money for the parks.
Green Acres, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm, yes.
That didn't turn out so well.
So
That's my
I'll get back
point,
to you.
and that's why I would like.
I'll count that as your second question or a statement. Do you have another question?
Not right now.
Okay.
Or should we ask the mayor to... If you want to respond, go ahead about that.
The Green Acres stuff. Jay, anybody?
Hi, Frank Senperry, Glen Avenue in Waldwick. I walked in a few minutes late, and I do have a question regarding the grant. Maybe it was already answered, but...
That's fine, go ahead, ask your question.
Was that at least investigated before the fire truck was purchased, so we would have known whether or not the money was an option or not an option? Did we at least look into it before we purchased the fire truck?
The fire chief had a committee set up, and the fire chief, the committee was set up of members of the fire department. They met with the CFO, they met with the administrator. They discussed the fire truck. I was never told that there was any other ways of doing it. Maybe they did not go out and look into it, which I will find out. But the thing is, they've done their homework. They've been looking at this truck for 2 years. And I'm a little kind of confused about why are we going after the fire department on a truck?
No, we're not. I mean, if we need a fire truck, we need the fire truck. But did we at least investigate all avenues as to pay for it before the decision was made to purchase
I
it?
think our administrator looked into this, but maybe he didn't, and I will make sure that I find out what his, how he did it and why he did it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Next question, please.
Kelly Ronaldo, 83 Highland. Mayor Giordano, under your leadership, the council has made several changes to municipal code to protect our residents, one being eliminating the door-to-door solicitation. What is your plan to continue to change code or keep code so that the residents remain safe?
Well, you have to be very careful when you change a code, because what happens is, you have a lot of people out there that are looking at what all these towns are doing.
I can't hear you, Tommy.
What you have to do is you have to be very careful.
Just put it closer to you.
You got to be very careful when you turn around and you try to change a code. You just don't change a code because you want to change it to protect or keep people out of your town. Because what happens is then you have outside people coming in saying that you're being, predators and things of that nature. What we do is, in the last couple of years, what we've done is we implemented changes to our code without hurting anyone. Like you notice now, you cannot put no signs on any poles anymore, because that we do is we're protecting our residents. Other issues that you could do is that you could, like the door knock. We changed it so that no one could go around. Now we got to go back to another way of doing it. We want to always try to do things that are going to help the residents and without getting us in trouble. Unfortunately, we have an attorney general that is watching every move town makes, which that's his job, and he wants to make sure that we do the right thing without being prejudiced against anyone. And moving forward, what we just have to do is if we have to change anything, we have to change it because there is a reason to change it, not because you just want it to be changed.
Okay, thank you. Laura, would you like to opine on ordinances?
Yes. Sorry. One of the ways in keeping the residents safe is conducting background checks and implementing a rec director. The background checks for the volunteers who take care of our children, keeping the safety and security of the children is paramount to me. Secondly, lawsuits are very costly, and if there are any issues and people aren't properly vetted, that can add to a potential lawsuit for the future. So I am really very passionate about making sure that the children are protected and the residents are protected from future lawsuits. So if ordinance need to be changed so that for rec sports that are recognized, the children of our town all being recognized as a rec sport, I feel that ordinances need to be changed to protect the children and protect the people from possible litigation in the future.
Thank you. Next question, this gentleman here, actually.
Hi, Paul Scanlon, Big Four, I'm a resident. Waldwick's always been a place where I felt safe walking around. Very clean town. I was right next to the pool. And over the past couple of years, I've noticed that it's been getting dirtier, especially during the summer. There's a lot of glass on the ground, broken glass by the pool, by the park, on the sidewalk in particular. And in May of 2018, unfortunately, the house next door to be burned down. There was a fatality, and that house is still there, and there's been rats. And I've made several complaints about the rats. I've seen them physically. I've actually seen the animals themselves. One time a guy came and walked around the house and just said, "There's no rats here." I said, "You didn't get that and put them on the ground. You didn't look, actually the hole right there." He walked away. It hasn't been taken seriously. And I want to know, going forward, what kind of procedures can be implemented to make sure this town stays clean and beautiful and safe for everybody. Because I love not having to worry about crime and dirt.
This time we'll start with Laura, since you got like two back to back.
I'm sorry that you're having that problem. I would like to partner with the Board of Health and see if there are any potential problems, being a member of the Board of Health, if there are any potential problems that there should be an investigation and an abatement. In an effort to keep things clean in the town, I do believe that there are ordinances, and I do believe that we have a DPW that cleans the parks and possibly goes after cleaning up the pools. And I think that if there are any issues, bringing it to the attention of bringing it to the mayor and council or getting in touch with the borough administrator would be first and foremost something that would be necessary. One of the issues that I have, and I share some of the pains, is when something is presented at a council meeting, I would like to see the loop close. When the public gets up and they speak at a council meeting, it seems that their concerns go into an abyss. They're always told that they'll be gotten back to, and then we, sitting in the audience, unless we ask for an update, we never hear about it. And I would like to create a mechanism where when people come to the council with an issue, that it either is not only reflected in the meeting minutes, but it becomes unfinished business until the issue is taken care of.
Okay, thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. In regard to the parks and everything being dirty or messy, what the administrator and I have done so far, we've been walking around the town looking at the different areas that need to be addressed. And we talked about this at our last council meeting. What we're going to do next year is we're going to start cleaning up the pool area. We're going to be painting the pool, we're going to be painting the garage for the grad ball. That can be taken care of. What we did was we also walked around the town and we looked about areas in which we could beautify. Next year we're going to be doing a beautification mode. One of our residents came forward and asked us about doing what they do on the Garden State Parkway, putting wildflowers. What we did is we reached out to some nurseries, and we're in the process of having, well, next year, wildflowers planted through the whole area as you come in and out of Waldwick. So instead of seeing grass, you'll see flowers blooming all over the place. That's what we're doing. In regards to your rat issue, as Laura said, I'm sorry about that, but what we'll do is we could reach out to Joe Misalik, who is our building enforcement person, and we'll also reach out to the Board of Health. The Board of Health's been helping us with an issue we have for another resident where they have too many cats in their home. So what we do is when we get complaints, we reach out first to the building inspector, then we also reach out to the health department, the health inspector, and they've been working with us. In regards to answering questions at a meeting, what we've always done, we took an approach that whenever anyone comes forward to us with a question, we do answer your questions. The administrator does get back to you. Sometimes if it's a very intense question, we go into our work session the following month and we try to answer your question. Anytime, you could always give a call and ask the administrator what took place, and he'd be more than happy to answer your question. I know he sends a lot of emails out every day representing the council, because that's his job to represent us, and what he does is he answers most of the questions that are given to us at meetings. A lot of time. Okay.
You've got 5 seconds.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
That's okay.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Gentleman over here.
Hi, I'm John Ward. I live on Leonard Drive. I'm a 30-year resident of the town, and I've seen my taxes go up significantly since I first purchased my home in 1989. I realize costs go up through the years, but I'm real concerned about what you said before, that our taxes aren't going to go up much. As we've seen in other towns like Ridgewood and Glen Rock and Oakland, when a Democratic-led administration comes in, taxes go through the roof, okay? I'd like to ask you, Laura, if you would pledge to continue Mayor Giordano's legacy of no tax increases, and how will you do this? You said it won't go up much. That concerns me a lot.
When I say that taxes won't go up much, there's a certain cap, there's certain pensions that you have to pay into, there's certain payroll, et cetera, where increases for employees and such will raise. And if you can't shave any money, unfortunately, it's going to affect taxes. I do pledge not to keep taxes, not to raise taxes. I own 2 small businesses. They're not successful because I'm spending money like crazy. They're successful because I am fiscally responsible. And I do feel that the only increases that we really incur are any reduction of any of the ratables, or if there's any grant money available that we're not taking advantage of, or if we don't get any of the program money that we're currently getting, or increase in pensions and payroll.
Great. Mayor, do you want to comment on this? You're good. Okay. Next question.
Can
You only get
you
two.
clarify something? I don't understand the pension piece, because state employees pay into their pension, and they've been paying close to 8%, which is pretty much the max. So I'm not understanding how pensions are coming into taxes. I don't get that. Can you explain that, please?
For that, I will have to get back to you. I was checking on the audit and I was looking at
I'm sorry, I don't understand how you have to give that.
Ma'am, you only get 2 questions. You only get 2 questions.
I need
She's-
to clarify.
I understand, but let her finish her answering your question, and then we cannot allow you to follow up, okay?
I will get back to you regarding the pensions. I understand that there is some payments that go into the pension program, and I have to get back to you based upon my findings in the audit of 2018. But for increases in taxes, payroll is a #1 issue. I do understand that we recently saved $100,000 with the older, more seasoned police officers retiring and younger, newer, lower salaried employees coming in. But you have to be mindful of the PBA 217 and those increasing salaries as they climb their steps. So I will get back to
That's
you.
called an agreement.
Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. We want to keep it decorum. I have 2 questions to limit, and that's it. Ma'am, over here?
Yes. I had a question for Ms. Litchfield and Mayor regarding Waldwick as being a wholesome place to live and a safe place to raise a family. I noticed that we have at least one retail establishment that is marketing to children directly, and that is the Good Guy Vapes with the cartoon character on its window. And with vaping in the news and people knowing the dangers of vaping and smoking, I'm not sure why allowing a retail establishment such as that would be good for the reputation of the town and the safety of our children.
I do not appreciate the vape shop being there either. I'm not going to, I believe that there's an ordinance in place where we won't allow, or there's not, 2 locations will not be allowed in Waldwick. I understand the dangers of vaping, and I'm really not in support of that business being here, so I'm kind of in alignment with you. I don't want to stop any business from coming into Waldwick, but I do believe that we can be a little bit more selective with what our children are exposed to.
Sometimes you always have to be very selective of what comes into your community, but sometimes you have no choice to bring a business into the community if they're following the rules, and there's nothing that tells us that they cannot come in. If we were to stop, there were 2 vape stores in Waldwick. When the second one came in, nobody even knew about the first one. The first one is out, they went out of business. The second one, which is here now, we've had no complaints, no problems from the police or any residents saying anything. The cops do monitor the building. Do I believe it should be here? No. But the thing is, I sit on the planning board, and when an application comes forward, you just can't get rid of it because of the fact that you don't want it in your town. But then you're opening yourself up to liabilities and lawsuits. What we did was, once that building came into town, what we did is we tightened our codes and our ordinances to protect the young residents and the residents, so that moving forward, we don't have to worry about a business like that coming in. That's how you turn around and change your ordinances to protect the public without hurting anybody.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Back here, gentleman's been waiting for a while.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
Mark Mundo, Avery Highland. Laura, you mentioning with regards to the background checks, are you aware that the state police mandates and the state itself has policies in place in litigation to say what an organization has to do to file, and that third party is mandated by the state police? It's not done by the police departments? Are you aware of that, since that's part of your platform?
No, I'm not aware of that. No, I apologize. I understand, I own, the daycare centers that I own, I have to get background checked every 3 years. It's my understanding from speaking to several individuals with the rec department that they're not required but for every 5 years. So if something happens inside that 5-year window, no one will be notified. So God forbid anything happens, and God forbid something happens to one of our children or happens on the track, somebody is going to be held responsible for it.
So my second question is then the onus is the responsibility of those rec programs, not the municipality.
Currently, it is on the rec programs, but if you're in Waldwick, you don't think that Waldwick is going to be named in a lawsuit?
It's the entity that manages it. It's like any corporation, you should know that.
Okay.
Mr. Wagner, you...
In regards to the background check, as I said the other day, as I said before, I'm sorry, the other day, they all met. As I said, I was at the meeting, but I didn't speak. What they're trying to do is they're trying to work it out so that the municipality and the Board of Ed will work together to worry about background checks. We were told that if it's a 5-year background check and if a person feels or a parent feels that the coach has an issue or finds out about the issue, they are allowed to tell that coach to go get another background check. So what we're doing is we're trying to work it out so that we have the Board of Ed and the Borough of Waldwick worried about background checks. It's a big thing right now between the police departments and the boroughs. We were given information about Midland Park, which wasn't true. Our administrator spoke to our insurance carrier and spoke to our attorneys, and they told us how to move forward. When we asked if the Board of Ed did the same thing, the president of the Board of Ed said that he did not speak to his attorney or he did not speak to his insurance carrier. So at that point, we're talking to the Board of Ed and they don't have, the answers for us. The meeting, as I said, was ended and we're renegotiating over the weekend. Our administrator reached out to Dr. Casarico to talk to Dr. Casarico to get together again, just them to figure out how we can move forward for everyone.
Thank you.
My name is John Lee.
Sam Kowalski, Serenity Road. As a way to alleviate the tax burden in this town, would you consider regionalization with the schools, since 75% of our taxes go towards school?
Who wants to answer that question? Oh, you You've answered this a few times, haven't you?
That's $1 million question.
Yeah.
Honestly. Two schools, you're going to talk, like we have two schools that work together with the different programs. You have Midland Park and you got Waldwick, right? Two different schools. If you look at the way that both towns are run, it's almost the same, identical. The structure's the same. What happens is, what school's going to keep their superintendent, what school's going to keep their president, and what school's going to keep their principal. That's when you come into a problem, and that's when none of them are going to budge. I think this has been talked about years ago. I think that was
I was on an Explorer Committee.
Florida State was on the Board of Ed, same problem, they will not even talk about it. It's a taboo question, because you know what, giving up authority, that's what it is.
Okay.
And honestly, it's what it is.
Thank you, John. Laura,
Yeah.
you can ask a follow-up if you want.
So what I would currently do is, knowing the authority in Midland Park and knowing the authority in Waldwick, is if there are any opportunities for shared services, then I would investigate that. If there's possibly, the rec director is a perfect segue. There's a full-time rec director in Midland Park. If Waldwick is looking for a rec director, we might not need a full-time rec director. Maybe we can do a shared service. Chipping away at things like this. I know the Board of Education recently approached Midland Park about possibly joining the band because our band is so small and theirs is so fruitful. And there were talks about that. So I do believe it's just chipping away at these little pockets, and then eventually it will reveal itself. And when the timing is right, then I think it truly will happen if it's meant to be.
Thank you. Dan, you got it.
I'd like to go back to the question about vape shops. And I'm following Tom, I'm concerned about it. The question is to the mayor. When the planning board approved the vape shop, which I understand what you're saying they had to, otherwise we're subject to litigation, didn't they specify in the approval for the vape shop that the state law might be that you have to be 21 to purchase product, but didn't the planning board specify specifically that you would be 21 to enter the store, and if they got caught allowing, mine was under 21 allowed in the store, they could be forced to vacate the store?
That's correct. What happens is when any business comes into the borough and the planning board works with them or approves them, there's a resolution that is put together. And in the resolution is all the stipulations of what has to be done, what they have to do, how they have to follow the rules. And it was done with the vape store. And we even went one step further with the vape store. We made sure that they realized that they're going to be under very much scrutiny from the residents because the residents really do not want the store to be there. The cops patrol, like they patrol all the town, they patrol it a little bit more, and we've never had a problem yet with anybody coming forward about any issues with the vape store. If we did have an issue, first thing we'll do is we send out the building inspector, Joe Mislet, who's in charge of things of that nature, and then the second person that goes out is the police. You know, we don't want to scare them out of our town, but if you're here, you got to follow the rules of the town.
Gentleman over here. Please identify yourself. Go ahead, stand.
My question is, we have a great DP center, I believe, especially with snowing. My question to both of you is, why do we, at this present time, and in the future, does Waldwick still sub out a lot of work? Catch basins, lawn cutting, striping the roads. When we have the equipment and the manpower to do it, where every other town does their own. And we are paying quite a bit of money for outside forces.
In regards to the DPW and the grass cutting and everything like that, the administrator already talked with me a little bit about that, about having the DPW do it again. We didn't go much into details with all this because they do have a liaison from DPW, which is a councilman, and he has to be told about this before anything else is done. So when the administrator comes up with a game plan, what he'll do is he'll speak to that gentleman, and they will discuss what's going on. Our DPW, they do farm out a lot of stuff, but the things they do farm out, sometimes they cannot control doing it. They need to go out to other people to work on. We bring a lot of times, we bring in Sanitary in here, we bring in Fletcher Kramer to do some work in the holes that when we dig for water mains and stuff like that, because our DPW is not equipped and qualified to do it. So what they do is they reach out to these men. We have agreements with them that they will come in and help us. You know, before they do anything, they just don't call somebody in. They check with the administration and they make sure that it's the right thing to do. And, you know, as I said, I'd rather pay a little bit more to have a town that's in good shape than worry about a nickel and a dime here and there. But that's my preference, that everybody has a different way of thinking about it. You know, our DPW, all our organizations in town do a great job. Everybody's so proud of our streets in the snow time. You know, we used to go through Waldwick. Everybody's shaking their heads, they're great. Could we cut some costs by doing stuff in-house? Maybe we could. What we'll do is we'll look into it. As I said, a gentleman from the DPW, the representative, is here, and I guess I'd be more than happy to answer that question if you give an opportunity.
The opportunity to do that will be at the meet and greet, so please identify yourself as the person who's representing the DPW, and then you can go ahead and ask a question. That's the gentleman right there, it's also a councilman.
Frank, you're on the job.
Laura, would you like to address outsourcing services and possibly creating some of that in-house?
Yes, I do believe that creating there is a need for outsourcing some of the services if there is time or if we don't have the equipment. I do understand that recently there was a lot of equipment purchases for the DPW, which is much needed. And I do believe that if there is anything in-house that we can do, that we should do. I know there have been concerns with the Traphagen field, the maintenance of the Traphagen field being completed in a timely fashion. I do appreciate the snow removal in the wintertime. I really do think the DPW does a great job. But contrary, I would also like to investigate competitive bidding. So if there is a need for any of the outside resources for us to possibly take two competitive bids. One of the issues that was brought up in one of the audits recently is that we should be doing more competitive bidding. So maybe we can save, if we do have to outsource it because there is a need for it, at least we're doing it competitively.
Thank you. Okay. You had one question before, right? So this is your second one, go ahead.
Frank Sanitary again. I've been a resident of Waldwick for 27 years. I'm a small businessman myself, and I try very hard to support local businesses. When I look at the towns around us, and you look at Wyckoff and Allendale and Hohokus and Midland Park, everybody's center of town is really, really nice. They moved forward with the times, And in 27 years, when I look at our center of town, I don't see a whole lot of progress. So my question's really twofold. The first part would be to the mayor, how come we haven't moved along to help our local businessmen by giving us a nicer center of town to get people to come in? And the second part of my question is, over the next 4 years, regardless of who gets in, where do you see us going with that issue? What are we doing to to our town to help the local businessmen who, I try to support them, and everybody really wants to support to help the town flourish?
About 3 or 4 years ago, the previous administrator, Mr. Andrew Tedorenko, at my request, sent a letter to all the businesses that are all on Prospect Street, asking them, there's 3 ways of doing it. Leaving everything the way it is, angle parking your cars, or taking all the parking, bringing it in the back of the building, in the front of the building, extend the sidewalks, put barriers up, flowers, plantings, and everything like that, so that we can have a beautified community. And everybody wrote back. I really can't say what they said, but mostly everybody wrote back and said, no, leave everything the way it is, we don't want to change it. So we didn't do nothing about it. Waldwick is a unique community. I mean, I appreciate you talking about Ridgewood and Wyckoff and all that, but we're Waldwick. Do we have to have a downtown community that's beautiful? Yes. What we're doing now is we're looking into next year, making the downtown area spruce it up with flowers. We want to, do things like that. Going down to the train station, instead of having the plastic flowers, Chuck Wanamaker, he said that maybe we could do a little something there. So what we'll do is we'll extend our holiday banners down to that area. We'll extend our spring stuff down there. We could do things of that nature. But I can't tell a business to do something if they don't want to do it. We were willing to pay for it, and they said no to us. We're working very hard with the Chamber of Commerce. There's some people from the Chamber of Commerce here, and we always ask them, if anything they need, please let us know. And nothing ever comes out of that, but, thank you very much for having a great time. We love being in this community. We don't want to get rid of business here. We need to keep the business in the community so we can all thrive. And they have to do well. But the thing is, you can do only so much for a business. I mean, some people say give them tax increases, lower their taxes, something like that. It's not a bad idea, but who's going to pay for that? We are. So you got to be very careful of doing that. So we are going to speak to them again about seeing what we could do to help them. We got a partner with it. Like we both are saying up there, Laura and I. We had a partnership with the community to make the community better.
Thank you.
I'd like to think we're as nice as Ridgewood and Wyckoff, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to think we're as nice as Ridgewood.
Oh, we are. We are. We're better. We're better. We're better.
Being on the Chamber of Commerce in Emerson, any empty storefront is painful for me to see. Knowing that there is an opportunity for something like a pop-up shop or dare I say a Starbucks or Pliables or something that is very enticing and attractive to the younger community in our town. I like Pliables myself as well. But any empty storefront should be investigated and offered and marketed that for pop-up shops and things of that nature in order to attract the people here. And regarding the parking, I do know that there is parking available. I have spoken to one of the members of the East Prospect Condo Association, which is down by Plaza Jewelers. And there is parking available behind there. They have approximately 40 spots available. So I do believe that that should be investigated for the future as an option to possibly either move the parking to the back or to aid in some of the commuter challenges that we're having as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
Could I just follow up with that?
Sure, absolutely.
One of the reasons why the businesses did not want to do parking in the back, like Laura said, which is a good idea, it's safe because somewhere along the line, someone is going to, instead of backing up their car, they're going to go forward, and someone's going to get hurt. And that's really what we're worried about. But some of the businesses back there or across the street said that they don't have a back entrance, and they don't want to have their residents walk around the front. That you can't stop. I mean, that's the way that these buildings were constructed. We do have to do something in that area. I mean, I like to see the fronts of the buildings look a little bit different, but I'm not going to force anyone to spend money so that the town has to look all the same. I think different ways of having their businesses look, it makes the town a little bit different, it makes it unique, but also, to get the parking out of the front would be the best, I think it'd be the best thing to do. It's a safe thing, and it enhances the beauty of the town.
it is hard to get in and out, you know, it's challenging.
Right, well, when we were building the firehouse, some of the people on the board wanted to put the parking in the front and the firehouse in the back, because it would look like across the street. And then we realized that's not safe for each other. So, you know, the way the public safety building is now, parking's in the back, that's the way this should be going.
Laura?
And I believe with the recent 15-minute parking that's in front by Bagel Nosh, the 7 spots, I believe that also adds an element of stress. Because me, as a resident, if I want a bagel that badly, I'm going to walk to Bagel Nosh. They're excellent. They're one of the most popular businesses in town. I'm going to walk. But the 15-minute parking concerns me because somebody's going to feel under the gun to be out within 15 minutes. They're not going to want to be ticketed. It's just going to add another layer of stress to already a stressful situation when you're backing out of those spots.
Thank you. Before you do the next question, can I just ask, and I know Laura, you seem to be doing pretty good with it. Can you just try to grab the microphone? Because I have some folks saying it's hard to hear. So if you're asking a question, if you can project, that'd be great, because we've got a lot of residents in town that couldn't make it here today, and
we're live streaming this as well, so. Yeah, we have about 35 people.
We fluctuate anywhere from 15 to 30 people watching.
Yeah, you guys wave to all the other residents.
But they said that a couple times they couldn't hear, and then all of a sudden it became better.
Yes,
and I
just
think
hold that as
it's
close
because
as
of
you
the
can.
microphone.
Can I follow up on Laura's question or not?
I mean,
It's up to you. You're the moderator.
Listen, you know I want a beautiful downtown, so let's go ahead and finish this, because I think it's important to a lot of people.
Okay.
So we continue talking about it, we got some time, go ahead.
Okay. In regards to the parking, the 15-minute parking, the only reason why that was done was because the businesses came to us and asked us to do it.
Yeah.
We didn't just, wake up one morning and say we're going to change anything. They told us they want to do this. They told us they would want to have it this way. We looked at it as a council, and the council all decided that if it's to help the residents and help the businesses, that it would be the right thing to do. Is that loud enough?
Will I be allowed to ask a question as a moderator here? Only get two?
That was your first question.
Listen, anyone who knows me knows this is one of my pet peeves about the downtown, and Mayor, I've confirmed about it. Is there any way, and this is just for the benefit,
No.
Oh, you guys said no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like we didn't know it was going to be live streamed.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. You guys are okay?
But I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Again, I'm Paul Santo from
Paul.
Chevy Drive. Laura, when I've known you for 27 years, roughly, right? Our kids grew up together, graduated together, both kids.
Yeah.
What I was concerned about was that when we had grad balls, and you mentioned grad balls before, you voted against having the grad balls 2 times. Are you is that something that you're gonna continue to do in Waldwick, change things and do away with certain traditions we have here? Because I'm concerned about that.
So my role with the grad ball was to look at things differently. I made a presentation with different options for grad ball, and it was voted upon, and it was declined. And once it was declined and everybody spoke and they said that they wanted grad ball, I was on grad ball committees, and I supported what was important to the community. But being in process and controls from my corporate experience, I was always of the mindset to look for different ways, look at different angles, and look at different options. And all I was doing for grad ball was presenting a different option. I did the research, I did a PowerPoint presentation. When everybody voted and the vote was cast and everybody said they wanted to keep grad ball, then we kept grad ball, and I was on committees. So I was instrumental in the fashion show, and all other, I was putting out signs at nighttime and things like that.
We all were, but I don't think you answered my question. My question was, do you want to continue to change and make changes like that, similar to that?
But I think I did answer the question. I present options, and if it's not the best option or it's not what the people want, then the answer is no. No, I mean, I'm looking at different ways of doing things and streamlining. Ultimately,
that is change.
That's proposing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a Bronx boy, so this grad ball thing was very new to me. You know, I did 2 of them. I'm not very handy, you could ask anybody. But when I was needed to be there for the week that they brought everything into the schools, I was there. In regards to changing of grad ball or not, I'm very old-fashioned when it comes to tradition. I like tradition. I like moving forward with caution. I don't like to change anything if it doesn't have to be changed. And Waldwick is a traditional town. I mean, we see it. How many people live in Waldwick that were born here? How many people left Waldwick and came back? They had to come back for a reason. And it's the traditions, the values, and all the people working together. I mean, everybody has a reason why they do what they do, why they want to change things, but I look at it that, why are you going to change it if it's working and everyone enjoys it? It's for the betterment of the community to leave it the way it is. But that doesn't mean that you have to just stay stale. You have to always look at your options. You got to always make sure that when you're changing something, it's for the better and not because just for the change.
Next question. Lady in red.
Hi, Wendy Klein, East Crossway Street. This question for both candidates. Are you in support or not in support of a public interest flagpole that could be raised by Rite Aid or in the center of town for special interest flags to be flown for their specific months of the year?
So, one of the things that I see for the center of town is an additional flagpole for nationally recognized awareness months. There's pancreatic cancer, autism awareness, bullying prevention, and things like that that can really unify the town, educate the town, and the town can also celebrate. Breast cancer awareness, there's a lot of survivors out there. There was a lot of divisiveness with the pride flag this past year, and I really feel like if it's something that is acceptable to the community, I don't really see a problem with putting another flagpole in the center of town. I understand that there were challenges with people not wanting to fly the pride flag directly underneath the American flag, but I do believe there's a place for it in our town, and I believe a separate flagpole where we can recognize all the national awareness months would be an easy option.
Dolores said it's a very good idea, but the thing is, now that you brought it up, you open the door, I'll walk into it. When everybody came forward at a meeting for the pride flag, it was a rehearsed meeting that everybody came to, and they yelled and screamed at the mayor and council. They had an agenda, they came forward. You could tell all you want about how you say it's not, it was an agenda. You've had a whole year to figure out what you wanted to do, but you waited 2 weeks before the event so that you could turn around and try to shove this down the mayor and council's throat. I was never ever so embarrassed to be on that platform, having people yell and scream at us and calling us all names for what the council believed in. You also got to keep in mind one thing. I was crucified at that event. I had the Win-Win News come the next day and talk to me. They recorded me. Then they went on the radio. Half the stuff that was said, I didn't say, or they deleted stuff. I had the administrator in my office so he could verify everything. I did not vote. I do not vote. It was the council that decided they didn't want to do that. Were they right or wrong? At that point, they were adamant about what they wanted to do. And what I did was, as a mayor should, you come up with a compromise. And the compromise was on putting it on the fence, okay? Then I was criticized about that, saying that I flipped and flopped. But this is the mayor that went and bought the flag out of my money. This is the mayor that went with the DPW and put it on the pole. I was called a homophobic. I was called everything by this town, and I think it was unfair that you used the pride flag to push and try to set your own, not you, but try to set an agenda for the flag. Should the flag be flown? Yes, it should be flown. Should it be flown with the American flag? Absolutely not. But we could come to an agreement. An agreement can be made, not to come and attack the council and call us all different names because things are not done the way you want it. Not you, I'm saying as a group.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm sorry you experienced that. I feel that when a group comes in front of the council and they're asking for something, rather than it get heated, maybe it can be taken offline and spoken about, rather than just discounting something that's important to the residents. It should be spoken about, understood. I don't believe it was completely understood. I think that possibly the no vote was because of it being underneath the American flag, not flying it as well. I'm embarrassed that it escalated to the way it was. It was pervasive in Bergen County. It didn't just happen in Waldwick, it happened all over. And I do believe that, considering it was happening in other towns, that we could have headed this off at the pass and done something about it before it got to the elevation that it was at.
Could I respond or no?
I mean, it's not.
I'll be quick.
Okay, you'll get it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right on what you said. In previous years, whenever there was a problem going on in the town, I would have residents come and sit in my office and talk to me about it. They would tell me how they feel, and then what we would do is I would go to the council and talk to them about it. This time, it was like, just jump in and attack, and that wasn't fair. Because when you push and you attack like that, you're getting people off guard, and, you know, it should have never been done this way. It should have never been handled this way. We should have never had residents up in arms, people calling here and there. It was the wrong thing to do. Was it the council's fault? Maybe. Was it the residents' fault? Maybe. But the thing is, once again, we have to work together. Moving forward, you have to work together. No matter who is there, who's the mayor, who's the council, to get anything done in Waldwick and to move Waldwick forward, you gotta get along and work together.
Thank you. Laura? Okay, great. Next question? Ma'am?
Evelyn Center, 4 Line Road. Can I get back to the parking problem again?
Sure. This is this is a parking question, just so that you can hear it, if you raise your voice a little bit.
Parking. Behind the stores, behind the bagel nosh, that whole area, it would be much easier if it was paved and clearly marked.
They're working on it.
Okay.
It's the business district, yeah.
Good. So you guys want to comment on that at all? No? You're both in agreement?
Yeah, we're both in agreement on this one. It's the co-op that owns that property, that it should be paved, and it should be clearly marked, and it should be usable for the residents. Whenever I go to Red Bull or to get a Thai foot massage, I always park in the back and use the back entrances. And yes, it is a little challenging back there, and it is unsafe, especially for an older person, especially at nighttime. It's a tripping hazard. But I know they are working on it, and I do know that behind Plaza Jewelers, that's completely paved. They've painted some lines, and they're painting some parking spaces back there as well.
Yeah, our building inspector's working on the other side to make sure that everything is following the city. They want to make sure that the paving is done back there, and it's not a hazard for residents to drive by there. But as Laura said, you know, we don't own it, it's a co-op, and if the co-op doesn't want to do it, but we have a building, as I said, Joe is, Mr. Like the building inspector, is looking into this. He's got a big punch list that he's been working on.
Great, thank you. For the gentleman in yellow.
Jeff Rodoff, East Prospect Street. I know in town we take a lot of pride in our sports, the amount of people that participate in it, and it's a great source of pride. And one of the challenges, as you both know, that the town faces is trying to deal with adequate space for the competing field activities. So I guess I have first a general question. If either of you have a plan to try to figure out a way to either increase the space or to make better use of the space we have. And specifically, I have a question about Emmett Park. You know, I realize it's a smaller area and can't accommodate the full sports, soccer fields and some other places could, but it always has struck me that that is an underutilized asset in town. When I look at in Whitehawk, and they have, like, for example, constructed by like a homeowners association, a 6-on-6 in the soccer in a hockey rink. And that usually in a relatively condensed space. I just think to myself, there's got to be effective, efficient things that we can do in Emmett Park, a town-owned property, to get better use out of that. And I would love to hear a few ideas specifically about how to get better use out of Emmett Park.
Thank you.
Our administrator has been working on Emmett Park to look into doing stuff in that area also. It's an area in which some of the residents have their backyards that butt up against it. It's a dead-end street. So there's issues about parking down there, if people are going to use the park. But our administrator has been looking through everything to see about more space. What we also did was we opened up our Veterans Park, Veterans Field for soccer for little kids. In our ordinance, it states you've got to be a certain age to play soccer there. We offered it to the rec program, and they didn't want to use it this year. Because, unfortunately, the area gets a little wet, and sometimes they can't use it. But whenever they ask us to use a field, we always say, sure, let's see what we can do. But as you said, Emmett, Park, that is an area that could be used. We have to look, we have to check into this. I mean, I'm telling you, we're checking into this. Believe when I say, our administrator is on top of all this. Patrick Weary is a young administrator who knows how this town works, and he really wants to make sure that everyone in this town is having what they deserve in the town.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you. I would like to address the possibility of those people in town who don't have children but who have fur babies. I like the idea of having a dog park or a pet park. I would like to investigate that. I know that there were talks of it possibly going by the pistol range a couple of years ago. And that I feel would also unite a special type of families. So that's regarding the park. I know that for Veterans Field, there is a drainage issue. We did have a couple of grants over the past few years to alleviate the drainage problem, and I'm a little concerned that we still have a problem there. But I do believe that the rec director, if we do get a rec director, that he would be able to properly schedule the field time for the rec sports and work together with the borough in possibly ensuring maintenance of the areas as well.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Deborah Scan, Manport, been here since 1978. There are a lot of things that have been accomplished in this town over the years, many wonderful things, some things I don't agree with, but they've been done and looked at without so much emotion. That's my biggest concern, that we all get emotional about what our particular issues are, and it becomes a grievance against the council, the mayor, candidates, whatever. And I don't think that this is what the town is supposed to be about. It wasn't when I got here, and it shouldn't be now. We should be concerning ourselves more with the community environment and the importance of keeping it the way Waldwick always has been. And I think that's what we're losing here. We're losing that ability to focus on the big picture. We're just taking little bits of things that people...
So is your question to address how we can continue doing that, or we'll get back to that?
Okay, is that a statement? I don't know. It's a question of policy.
I just want to make sure that we frame it right for them.
Okay, and I want to know that this town is still going to remain, or possibly get back to the way it was when I moved into here in 1978.
So it's almost like a question, it's like, what is the plan for the future in regards to keeping those traditions and the things that we've done to keep Waldwick as unique as it is?
Wait, can you repeat the question again?
How do we keep the traditions that we've had in Waldwick? She's concerned about, we get emotional about certain issues, we sort of forget about all the great things that Waldwick's up. And, with the changes coming in the future, we want to move forward in the future, but also we want to retain that. So, am I paraphrasing you correctly? Yes. Correct. Okay, great. So she wants to know, how do we aim to continue to do that or get back to those same ideas?
Okay. Growing up in Waldwick, I understand that there are many traditions that we had that no longer exist, and there's traditions that were created that we currently maintain, Bradwell being one of them. We no longer have a football game on Thanksgiving with Midland Park. Some of those traditions have changed due to the changing times. I think it's important to maintain some of the traditions because it's important for us to want younger people. My children are a perfect example. I'd love for them, I brought them back here because of the traditions in Waldwick, because of the teachers in Waldwick, because of the education system, and because of the hometown feel. It's very difficult